This is the video answer for exercise 1 of project Orion. So in this exercise we're going to configure LiveUpdate administrator, which is installed on WSLUA. The first task is to log in and look at the first stage of selecting product to download. So if you open, there's an icon here on the desktop for LiveUpdate administrator. Then you type student. The password is pre-saved already, so you just have to click log on. And you have access to LiveUpdate administrator. So we're going first on configure, and we need to request an update of the catalog. Okay, so just clicking here. So like this, we're sure we can retrieve content to a LiveUpdate server based on the latest and greatest version of all the products that are available. So once the catalog is updated, you can go directly, still on the same section for configuration, select which product you want to download from the internet. Okay, so we're going here to select add new product, and you can see that this utility is actually spanning multiple Symantec products. It's not only SAP. Most of Symantec software have actually some content we could retrieve using LiveUpdate administrator. So here we just focus on endpoint protection, so we select this, then we can scroll down. And you can see on Symantec Endpoint Protection, we have actually the list of multiple builds and updates. So what we want to do here is just Symantec Endpoint Protection 14.0 in English. Okay, that's what we're interested in. Once we have this, we just go all the way down and click OK. So that already start to narrow down out of all the possible updates. We narrow down that we want only SEP 14.0. Okay, so once this is done, now we can go to download and distribute to actually configure the download between internet and the LiveUpdate administrator server, or the internal server. So we will configure what we want as an update. Okay, so we go add download. Here we name that download SEP14 content. Okay, so you can put some description. Here that's what we use because Solicel wants to use LiveUpdate administrator for roaming users. So that's what we're adding. And then on the select product, that's where we can choose which product we need. So if you select here, you will be downloading a very large amount of data and not everything might be useful. So you need to actually expand. And you see you have client update and content update. So client update will be software patch and updates. And content update is the various definition or IPS definitions. And inside of that, you can see there's actually two categories. There's a category that's called clients and a category that's called manager. Depending whether you have a SEP client, an endpoint connecting to LiveUpdate server, so that would be the client section, or it will be the manager, so the SEPM, that's downloading the content and in turn transform those definitions and distribute them directly or via group update provider. So that's why you can see both, okay? And do not select both if you're gonna have just client pointing directly to the server, to the LiveUpdate server. The other part here will just take some space on your hard disk, use some bandwidth and not be useful. Okay, so for our exercise here, we need to select everything on the client that is for Windows. Okay, you can see definitions for Mac, so we're gonna skip those. And here you can see you have two kinds of various definitions. So there is a R definition which are reduced. That's actually the one we want to use here. And the other one are for what we call dark network client. Okay, so here we just skipping those and just make our pick and choose in terms of option we need. Once this is done, we can click add, and then we have to set a schedule. So here for this demo environment, we're just going to set it to monthly just to have it to run once. And you're going to put it in a date that's far away so that it's not triggering while you're taking the class. In my example here, I'm just putting monthly on the 31st. We're early in the month when I record this. So just to be sure that it's not triggering, okay? We just need to make the configuration. We're not requiring the bandwidth and the download of everything, because it generates quite a large amount of data across the network. Okay, so be sure that the dates here will not actually trigger an update within the time you're still taking the course. And now we have a retrieval that's configured. The next place to look at is to configure the distribution center schedule. So now that we have the content that made it all the way from the internet to the LiveUpdate server, we need to make available for the endpoints to retrieve, because you have the ability of using LiveUpdate Administrator for validating content, for example, or you need to control when exactly it is available on the network, so that you control when your one link or your connectivity is used for content update. So that's why you have actually a separate schedule for distribution. So now we're going here, distribution centers. So that's the where we're going to post information, and we'll be using the default production distribution center. So you can see the URL is here, clu-prod. So that's actually what we will use in the LiveUpdate, the settings policy in the CPM, to say my client are retrieving content from this server, and that's the one URL you're using. So now we want to distribute content. We still have to define what we want to distribute. Same thing as we've done when we've done the download part from the internet. Here we need to go back here and edit, and go again, add a product, expand, select content update, and go back again to select only what's interesting for us. Okay, so going back and selecting again all what is for Windows, and a reduced set of definitions here, and that's all. Okay, so we skip Mac, we skip the full size definition here, and once this is done, we click OK. So that's our configuration done. So we know what we want to download. Then when we scroll down here, we just can click OK, and we know that as soon as the download happens from the internet, we can go and use this here as a place to retrieve content from. The next part is to choose when that content is being distributed to the distribution center. So we're going back to download and distribute, and this time we're going add distribution. So here we just put SEP content client to production. We're going again to select which kind of product we want to distribute. Okay, so going back here under content update, and again selecting all the Windows content, skipping the Mac update, skipping the full size definition, and click add. Okay, so what we've done here is that we've defined which content distributed and when. So that's the one little difference between the step we've done before and this time. The one before, we're taking content from our central download repository to move it to the production one, and here we are confirming this by choosing when this happens. Okay, so that's why you have again the same configuration with the product, and now you have actually after download schedule. So let's say we have a download that happened automatically from the internet, we can automatically publish. So that would be how you would configure this. So now that everything is configured, we just need to wait for scheduling to happen, so that first we have a download and then we have a distribution happening. So as you can see, the configuration requires quite a lot of preparation and selection. And if you have actually an update of a product, let's say a maintenance release update or a patch or something like this happening, you might have to go back and revise your configuration because content might have changed between versions. So be really sure that when you use LiveUpdate Administrator that you can actually follow closely the configuration and make sure that content is being distributed accordingly, and that it is really a requirement you have in your environment to control when and what gets downloaded. If you can go without and just download directly LiveUpdate from CPM and then CPM distributing content, it would actually simplify administration. You have to really consider whether or not you need to use LiveUpdate Administrator. So with that, that concludes exercise 1 of Project Orion.